In a secluded town off the Texas coast, the horrific homicides of two black women rattle investigators and loved ones.
You took something special to me and my family.
Who were these women left by an abandoned motel dumpster? Were they targeted in an act of hate?
What else? That's what we need your help with.
Or was it someone in their inner circle who wanted them dead?
And that's a look at the new season of MTV's True Life Crime, a show that investigates shocking crimes committed against young people. And back with us to tell us more about it, Dometi Pongo.
Hey, Dometi. How is this show different from other crime shows? And it seems like there are so many crime shows. Like, people are obsessed with these things.
Yeah, people love true crime. They love the mystery of it. They love the adrenaline that you get when you're looking into a mystery and trying to figure out what happens. But the thing that makes True Life Crime so different is that we look at the details and nuances and context in the story beyond the headlines. You know, the story you just saw that premieres tonight, you know, the identity of this couple wasn't known at first. This is a small spoiler. You learned this pretty early, so I'm not giving up too much. But you later find out that they're a queer couple. And you find out as we walk through the story, how does their queer relationship factor into who the potential suspects might be? And what can we learn about how we deal with the LGBTQ community from a religious standpoint, within the African-American community, society at large? We cover a lot.
So Dometi, it sounds like this is a unique show from different crime series. Can you weigh in on that and how much work is involved with these shows and series?
Ooh, it's several months of pre-pro. You know, my team is on the ground early on, talking to family members, finding out what questions they have before we dive all the way in, seeing, you know, what they're comfortable talking about, what they're not comfortable talking about, and really digging into, okay, when this story went out there and we saw that headline, what were the elements of the story that you get on the ground that didn't make it to the newspapers? And that's where the real work goes in with pre-pro. And then once I'm on the ground, we're shooting for about a week and a half, 12 to 13 hour shoot days. But a lot of that work happens beforehand, and then you get in the field and things are usually still developing in the field, and that's the exciting part.
Right before the segment, Cheryl was saying, how do you sleep at night? And that's actually a great question, because it's got to be tough. You get connected to these stories, and it's not just entertainment. This is real life.
Nah, y'all hit on something, man. You know, I actually, before I became involved with this show, I said that the only way, and MTV already had this angle. They knew they wanted to tell a true crime story in a different way, with a bent toward issues and social justice, to figure out how we can make society better. And I never anticipated that it would make me better, make me feel better as a human being. I say that because I'm having these deep conversations with people, and then I start to talk about, you know, as they talk about losses they felt. Before we started the first season, a friend of mine was murdered. My uncle passed away through heart complications. And I thought I dealt with those emotions. When you sit across from somebody who's dealing with a fresh traumatic incident like this, you have conversations and those emotions begin to bubble up. And so it becomes therapy. And so, you know, I sleep well now because talking to these families has become somewhat therapeutic for me. And it's taught me how to be more present to my emotions in other ways. You know what I'm saying? So I love the conversation we're having in public right now. You've had them on your show too about what mental health looks like and what therapy looks like. This show has kind of been that for me.
And I love hearing him speak about this, because there's so much legwork. You're not just hosting it. You're not just telling the story. It really, truly seems that you are so involved with these cases, near and dear to your heart. Why is it so important to share these stories for you?
Because if I was gone, I want people to do the same thing for me. You know, coming from a city like Chicago, as you all well know, you know, we see crimes and we see people, you know, you don't know the gut-wrenching feeling it is when you look in a newspaper, or maybe you do, you look in a newspaper and you see your friend's life truncated to 3 sentences. And even that doesn't convey the full volume of who they were as a human being and as a person. And so when I tell these stories, I want to communicate the fullness of who these people are, not just how their death is being sensationalized, but how their life should be celebrated, and how we could learn from the things that they valued most by amplifying them through the work and the story that we're telling.
Right, honoring their legacy is so important. Now, how did you get involved in this project?
Man, Chicago is the birthplace of all things great, man. It started off because MTV already knew they wanted to try to figure out how we could, you know, tap into a new version of telling a true life story, you know. And they started off with the Kanika Jenkins story. They asked around the city, and as you know, we're friends. A lot of friends in the city just said, "Hey, I think Dometi would be good for this." And they reached out to me, and I'm not gonna lie, when they reached out, you know, I was working at WGN Radio. You know, I was happy where I was. It was a big opportunity, but I also was a little tepid, was a little cautious because we've seen them sensationalize crimes that happen in our neighborhoods. I prayed about it. And I felt in my heart a confirmation in the scripture I read that says, "Open your mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy." That's Proverbs 31:8. And then I had lunch with the director, and he told me what he was passionate about. At the time, it was Don Sikorsky. And everything just felt right. I knew this is what I was supposed to do. Now, here's the interesting part. The original idea of the show was that they would go to different cities and talk to someone who was passionate about those events in that city. But there was such a synergy with me being involved when I shot the pilot episode that when the series rolled out, they said, we got to bring you back. And so I stayed on, went to different cities, and made those same connections the same way I connected with everything that started right back at home.
Yeah, you are such a ray of light, you know, Dometi. I think after a long day's work, I think I would have to have like rainbows, butterflies, and cartoons, popcorn, and pizza after that. But you're doing a great job. Thanks, Dometi, for hanging with us in Host Chat and for this segment.
You guys made my day, man. Ryan, Cheryl, thank you. Send my love to Val. I wish she was here too.
Will do. True Life Crime returns tonight at 9 p.m. It's part of MTV's True Crime Week.